ourselves. So we're going to start with goat pose, Ateyasana. There are two versions, as you're knowing. I'm going to show the more standard version, and then I'll show the knee injury variation. So if your knees don't like this first variation, never fear, I have a second one. So the classic variation is that we take our feet shoulders distance apart, which is a little bit wider than hips distance. And now I say that as a general rule of thumb, but everyone has a sweet spot for this. So if you get into it and you're like, oh, I actually need to take the feet a little wider, a little narrower, you play around with it. And then we're just slightly turning the toes in. And the best way I can describe it is that when you're learning to ski, they have you learn the French fries where the skis are parallel and the pizza where the skis are going towards each other, but you're not turning your toes in so much. So it's just this little turn in, right? And then we're settling into the feet, big toe ball mound, outer heel. You can feel the inner arches lift. We want active feet here. Stretch the necks of the toes. And then females, or those that identify with the female persuasion, you are going to take your right hand to your lower abdomen. Males and those that identify with the male persuasion, you will take your left hand. The second hand covers that top hand. So I'm just putting it right on top, and then I'm tucking that top thumb underneath the bottom palm. And I'm on my lower abdomen. So my pinky fingers are pointed towards my pubic bone. My thumbs are just underneath my belly button. And then we float the elbows forward. You're trying to hollow out your armpits as if you were going to try and store little mandarin oranges there. I know, very strange place to put your oranges, but there we are. And then you lift and spread the collarbones. Now, I will come back to this variation. If you're here and your knees are saying, no way, everything else stays the same, but you just step your inner heels together and turn your toes out slightly, like you have a very small slice of pie between your feet. Okay, so either legs a little wider, toes pointed in, or heels together. It just depends. And you might know more when we bend the knees. So if you've got your heels together, you won't bend the knees, hence the knee protective aspect of that pose. If your feet are apart, you're just going to bend the knees a little. Don't go straight to the deep end of the pool. Things get very real there very quickly. Stay in the shallow end of the pool. Just soften the knees a little bit, like a little petulant 5-year-old came up behind you and booped you in the back of the knee. And then lift through the occiput again, lengthening the back of the neck. Relax the belly, relax the outer thighs, relax the inner groins, relax the shoulders. Lift from the center of the sternum. And then we've got something for the tongue to do. It's called Jiva Bandha, or tongue lock. You're going to take the tip of the tongue to the space right behind the upper front teeth, and then relax the sides of the tongue and the root of the tongue down the throat. Yes, you'll feel the jaw get a little slack. That's good. Yeah. Keep your lips together if you can. If you have to breathe through the mouth for any reason, obviously, do the needful. And then the eyes. We're not going to dip the chin down, but you are going to direct your eyes to either, if you can see outside, to the ground, to the earth, or if you can't see outside, you just bring them to the space where your wall and your floor meet. The chin doesn't drop, but the eyes do. So we're keeping our eyes down on the horizon line. Keep floating the elbows forward. If things are feeling good, you could even bend the knees a little bit more. The final pose, the knees are bent until the ankles stop you, but things get very intense there. So this pose is like a puzzle box. So as you play with it, you might have to come out and in a few times just to see. You really want to keep the weight balanced, big toe ball mound, outer heel, so those inner arches are lifting. You actually relax the thigh muscles. I know it seems like a conundrum because you're like, but they're working. I know, but try to relax them. Try to relax your buttocks. If they're clenched together like you're trying to hold one of those extra long receipts from CVS, you're just going to release it. Refresh the lift of the sternum, shoulder blades down the back, chin parallel to the floor, eyes are lowered to the horizon. Relax the sides of the tongue, the root of the tongue. Lift from the occiput. Breathe here. Can you hang out for another 30 seconds? Notice, did the weight go all the way to the ball of the foot? Can you find the outer heel again? Is your belly relaxed? Breathe. You got this. Focus your awareness on where the shin bone intersects the ankle. Yeah, keep breathing. You're doing great. 10 more seconds. Don't hold the breath. And then exhale, press the hands down, straighten the legs, turn the feet parallel. I'm going to turn to the side just so you can see what's happening. You can stay facing your camera. So we're going into what's called the Dasha Chalana, 10 churnings. It's a joint rotation series. Some of you have done it with me before. We're going to stand on one foot for the most part in the very beginning. If you need to put the hands on the hips for balance, you absolutely can. You could also come to a wall or a chair and put your hand on it. Ladies, or those that identify as such, you're going to plant the left foot on the floor. Gentlemen, or those that identify with that, you will plant the right foot. The opposite foot goes back and you come to the crown of the big toe. And then you're circling around the toes. So going over the top of the toes, over the bottom of the toes, over the top of the toes, over the bottom of the toes. Once you get the hang of it, you just kind of find your rhythm, but you want a steady rhythm, right? If you're a dancer at all, you got that 5, 6, 7, 8, right? You got that little bit of rhythm. You determine how much pressure you put in the toes. Let's switch directions. And don't worry if when you switch directions, you're like, wow, this feels very foreign. You'll have one direction that feels easy, the other direction feels a little weird. You really want it to feel like your thigh bone is kind of swinging in the hip socket. Gorgeous. Let's switch sides. That foot becomes a standing foot. Second foot goes out back behind you. You're on the crown of the toe. And then when you feel ready, you start. Keep lifting from the sternum. Keep lifting from the occiput. Keep breathing. Soften the jaw. Eyes are fixed on a single spot. Nice. Switch direction. Again, see if you can get that femur bone to feel like it's just swinging around. All right. You're trying to relax that femur. Yes, nice. Both feet now standing feet. You're going to imagine you have a chalkboard in front of you and chalk on the tip of your nose. You're going to make tiny little circles on that chalkboard. Don't close the eyes. Instead, find a single point to gaze at. Keep breathing. Feel into the feet. They're heavy and solid. Nice. Now go the other way. Little tiny circles. You got this. Yes, beautiful. All right, coming back to neutral. Now the shoulders. They're going to go forward, up, back, and down. Notice I'm not getting the elbows into it. It's not that big chicken dance sort of thing. It's just these tiny little ones, right? I had a student in Medford that used to call these mini muffin shoulder rolls because they're just little tiny. For whatever reason, that description just seemed to work for people. Little mini muffin shoulder rolls, just tiny, tiny. Keep breathing. Soften the jaw, the teeth, the tongue. Gorgeous. And then go the other way. So now they go back up, forward, and down. Back up, forward, and down. And they're just little tiny ones. Go as slow as you need to. They don't need to be fast. I actually find these a little more effective than big shoulder rolls. I think they work the trapezius muscles a little bit better. And at the end, you sort of feel like you got a shoulder massage, which is an added bonus. Keep breathing. Gorgeous. And then we'll do one to the back just to reset, because if you don't, it feels weird. And then we're taking the hands together and you're going to point the index fingers. I call this Charlie's Angel's Mudra. This helps you get started. If you already know this one, you can absolutely tuck those index fingers in. But if you don't know this one, here's where we're going. Elbows come together if they can. You're looking through the hole between your wrists. And then you're going to make a figure 8 on the ceiling with your index fingers. Keep breathing. Yes. And then once you have the hang of it, you can fold those index fingers in. And you can also speed it up. This one's good to do double time. Keep the elbows up. If they can touch, great. If not, no worries. You're just looking in between where the wrists keep making a space and then that space disappears. Gorgeous. And now go the other way. Don't think about it. Just switch directions, whatever that means. Don't think about it. You can redo the index finger and slow it down if you need to. Let's go for another 6, 7, 8. Beautiful. Release the hands. Shake them like you have water on them. And then go ahead, grab your 2 blocks. We only need one for now, but we'll need both of them in a few minutes. So we'll place one on the floor. We'll take the other one and put it between the upper thighs. And I have it so it's horizontal to the floor, which means the long edge of the block is parallel to the earth, right? So it's horizontal across my thighs, perpendicular to my femur bone. The smallest rectangle is pointed forward. And then I'm bringing my feet as parallel as they can be here. That means the index toes, the second metatarsals, are parallel, and they're as close as they can be, which is about hips distance for most people. And now we're going to try and stay relatively stable and still from the waist down. We're actually going to take a twist in the upper body. So I let the hands fly. At the very last moment, I reel them in. The front thumb taps right underneath the collarbone. The back thumb taps at the kidney band on the opposite side. If you've ever seen the original Karate Kid movie, you're just pretending you're that drum that he spins, right? With the little arms that fly out and hit the drum. The head goes with, and I'm keeping my hips very still. I'm squeezing that block between my thighs. I'm letting the head go with. The arms swing out in between sides. Really let them go kind of loosey-goosey. And you just pull them in at the very last second. Softening the jaw, the teeth, the tongue. Keep breathing. Keep squeezing that block. Gorgeous. Now we are going to stop in a moment, but instead of just stopping abruptly, I'd like you to more think about it as if you ran out of gas. And so just let the swinging come to its natural conclusion. Nice. Then we'll take our block out, take our feet a little wider than hips distance. And now it's like we're making circles on the floor with our tailbone, right? So now letting the hips go around in a circle. It's like we're in a jar of something very tasty and we're trying to scrape out the sides. Don't bend the knees. They can be soft, but don't do the like full like bending thing. You want to just be around the hips, right? It's like if you had a bead in the center of a string and you swung it around. This is what you're doing. Yes. Now switch directions. Yeah, let the arms just hang. I know it looks like we're all very bored at the grocery store, right? Like very 7-year-old bored at the grocery store. That's what's happening. Gorgeous. Keep breathing. Soften the jaw. Ah, all right. Letting that go now. We come to our next one, which requires us to bring our big toes to touch. And I'm going to turn to the side for a moment so you can see. So I bring my big toes to touch. My heels are slightly apart. And my knees are touching. My inner knees are touching. This is important because we're going to take the knees around in a circle. Now, there are 2 options. First option is a very shallow option, right? This is good, especially if the knees feel challenged. I have my thumbs towards each other. My arms are straight. And especially if I was trying to keep my head up in my poses today, this might be where I go. Second option, the fingers go towards each other. The elbows bend out to the side and you can get really deep with it. Now I'm lifting my navel towards my spine and lengthening the crown of the head away from my tailbone in any variation. And then I'm circling the knees. Now, a couple of things that are very important. You have to keep all 10 toes on the mat at all times. If they start to come up, that means your circles are too big or too fast or both, right? So if that's happening, make your circles smaller, make them slower. Gorgeous. And then going the other direction, right? Looks like we're about to do our a cappella number. It is the holiday season. Perhaps we're singing holiday songs, caroling. All right, from here, rolling up back to standing. Now we take the feet apart. It's the last part of this series. It's called the Sarpa, the serpent. We're going to move our spine in a serpent-like manner. The easiest way I can describe it is that you're going from cow to cat while standing, which isn't the weirdest thing you've ever done. So watch once, especially if you're not familiar or you don't remember. So I've got my feet hips distance apart. I'm going to bend my knees, lift my tailbone, lift my heart, and lift my chin. The arms dangle. Here's my cow pose if I was on all fours, right? I inhale in this pose. Then as I exhale, navel to spine, chin to chest, I roll up. There's the cat pose. And then I put them together into a little flow. Inhaling as I go down, exhaling as I roll back up. Right? I'm doing it very exaggerated for you. You could absolutely do a little tiny Sarpa. This is also Sarpa, as is this. So you can play around. What feels good to you? Notice my arms are not flapping. You're not a bird. You're not trying to fly. The arms are just relaxed and dangling. Inhaling as you come down, exhaling as you come up. If it's really hard to control your arms, you can pretend you're drawing long ovals on your outer thighs with the back of your thumb, kind of the base of the back of the thumb, right? And that gives you something to do with the arms if the arms are just like, I want to fly. Like sometimes they can be hard to control. They get up to their own antics. Nice. Let's do 3 more. Inhaling as you go down, exhaling as you come up. Last one. And then you just come to stand, close the eyes unless there's any dizziness. If there's dizziness, keep the eyes open, but no dizziness. Close the eyes and just feel. Just feel how it is. All right. Little bit of what's called packing the prana. It's a breath exercise, very much like a modified sun breath. We're still on feet, hips distance apart. You're going to take your hands to your outer hips, the palms of the hands face forward. You cup and curl your fingers. I've got them all pressed together here. You can see that these are called blade hands. I didn't name them. That's just what they're called. I cock the first knuckle of the thumb and place it at the outside of the hands, almost like you're making little paddles, right? You're going to inhale the arms up towards the sky, palms of the hands face up. Follow with your head. When the middle fingers touch above your face, then as you exhale, and draw the hands down, following with your eyes and your head. All right, so inhaling the arms up, middle fingers touch above your face, and then you exhale, drawing the hands down, following with your eyes and your head. So you just keep that arch of the hands. So once the middle fingers touch above, they stay connected all the way down as you follow until you get to the bottom, and then they part and you go again. So it's like you're scooping up all the excess vata in the room and you're grounding it down into your feet. Right? So all the anxiety, worry, frustration, whatever there's still residual hanging out in your room, and then you draw it down. This is a great one to remember if you have stressful situations that you're going to go deal with. This is a good one to get children to relax, good for grandchildren. Just teach them how to do this. And if things are really feeling like a struggle in your life, you can say to yourself, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm loved. I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm loved. I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm loved.